Yesterday, Sony decided to raise the price of the PlayStation 5 in select regions across the world, showcasing once again just how greedy they can be. And it certainly didn't take long for Microsoft and Xbox to respond. There's a lot here to talk about, so let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? This is Randall419, the man with the million, back again with another video. I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you guys can do me a huge favor, make sure you hit that like button, share this out on social media, and please, if you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for all the support. You know, leading up to the launch of these next-gen consoles in 2020, everybody and their mother had an opinion and speculation about the pricing of the Xbox consoles and the PlayStation 5. Would one try to undercut the other? Would one be more expensive than the other? And eventually we found out the prices: $500 for the Series X and the PS5, $400 for the digital edition PS5, and $300 for the Series S. And I thought that was pretty much the last time we were going to have a meaningful discussion about pricing. So I certainly didn't have it on my bingo card that PlayStation would decide to raise prices pretty much everywhere in the world. Well, that's not an exactly true statement, because Sony didn't raise prices everywhere. In fact, there's one really important market that Sony is locked into a very fierce battle with Xbox, and PlayStation decided, you know what, inflation doesn't matter there. We're gonna keep the price the same, and we're gonna have the rest of the world subsidize the US market. Essentially, Sony is basically giving the big middle finger to all of its fans around the world as they tell everybody in Europe and Asia and all those places, you can pay more for our product while the Americans can pay less. In fact, I believe we have a statement here from Jim Ryan, so let's cut to that.
You know, a lot of people ask why. Why treat the customer this way? Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
Good old Jim Dance Moves, Lion Ryan is at it again. Tell us how you truly feel about the PlayStation customers. A lot of them spent all day on Twitter yesterday defending the price cut by talking about macroeconomics and inflation and currency exchanges and all that stuff, instead of being upset as a consumer that Sony was charging you more. Now, what did Jim Ryan actually say? Well, if you go over to the PlayStation blog, he wrote and said that the global economic environment is a challenge that many of you around the world are no doubt experiencing. We're seeing high global inflation rates as well as adverse currency trends impacting consumers and creating pressure on many industries. Based on these challenging economic conditions, SIE has made the difficult decision to increase the recommended retail price of the PlayStation 5 in select markets across Europe, Middle East, and Africa, Latin America, as well as Canada. There will be no price increase in the United States. And I wonder why that is, Jimbo. Is it maybe the only region where Xbox is actually competing very strongly against you? Why is it the rest of the world has to pay more, but everybody in the United States can just continue paying the same price? So I'm going to throw up the chart here so you guys can see the new pricing structure for the PlayStation 5 and the digital edition in places like Europe, UK, Japan, China, Australia, Mexico, and Canada. Some areas have gone up as much as like €50 or $50 or whatever. Some have gone up 20%, some have gone up 30%. So it really depends on where you're at. So, you know, it's already expensive in Canada. Now it's getting even more expensive, and it's really expensive now in Japan. Jim Ryan ends this article by saying, while this price increase is a necessity, given the current global economic environment and its impact on SIE's business, our top priority continues to be improving the PS5 supply situation so that as many players as possible can experience everything the PS5 offers and what's still to come. Yeah, Jim, it's such a necessity that you raise the price pretty much everywhere in the world, but leave the United States unaffected. It's such a necessity that you guys have been bragging about how you have record-breaking revenue every single year. I believe the PlayStation division brought in $25 billion this past fiscal year. I think it was the highest ever for any PlayStation platform. They're making money hand over fist, but their profits aren't doing as well. It was like down 37%. And with the inflation and the cost of the parts going up, well, you know, Jim's just like, we have to do this, guys. I hope you understand. I hope you enjoy paying more for a premium experience. At least that's the argument that a lot of their fans are trying to defend with online, that I would gladly pay more for greatness. I would gladly pay extra because PlayStation is delivering that. Except they weren't really saying that when they were talking about the speculation of price versus the Xbox Series X leading up to the launch. They wanted the price the same as the Series X. They didn't want it to be more expensive, but now suddenly it's okay to be more expensive. What an absolute joke. Completely pathetic. And for those of you saying, man, you're really being harsh on PlayStation and I thought you were better, keep this in mind. If Xbox had done this, I would be just as harsh on them, just like I was when they thought they could raise the price of Xbox Live Gold to $120 a year. I didn't mince words, and I'm certainly not going to mince my words here. Yeah, so you can completely miss me with this whole argument that this is a complete necessity, that we're just plucky old Sony, the billion-dollar corporation. We're dealing with inflation and absurd exchange rates, and we just have to do this. We just have to pass these costs along to you, our grateful consumers, except for the United States, because that market actually matters, and Xbox has given us a hell of a fight. And we couldn't raise the prices there because Xbox might start outselling us, and that's not good for us. But we're going to make sure to brag about our record revenue next year. So then people started wondering if both Nintendo and Microsoft would have to raise their prices. Because surely Microsoft and Nintendo must be experiencing the same inflation that PlayStation is. They must be experiencing the same exchange rates that PlayStation is. So it's only logical that if Sony's raising the prices because of these economic factors, that Microsoft and Nintendo would have to follow suit, and we'd see an announcement that, hey, you know what? The Series X is $550 now, guys. Sorry. The Nintendo Switch is now whatever price the Nintendo Switch is. But that didn't happen. My buddy Jez Corden got a statement from Xbox, and it says, in a statement to Windows Central, a Microsoft spokesperson confirmed that there are no plans to raise the price of the Xbox Series X or the Series S, reiterating that they will remain at their baseline RRPs in various currencies. Quote, we are constantly evaluating our business to offer our fans great gaming options. Our Xbox Series S suggested retail price remains at $299 and the Series X is $499. And Nintendo said the same thing. They have no plans to raise the price of the console. But how is that possible? They're experiencing the same economic hardships as PlayStation is, and yet they're keeping their consoles the same price. This is madness. Jez goes on to say, while this isn't a hard guarantee that we will never see the price hike for the Xbox Series X and Series S consoles, it's certainly an encouraging sign that Microsoft has no intentions to do so in the short term. It's certainly a fact that markets around the world are reeling from disrupted supply chains and inflation as a result of the global pandemic. The UK is expected to hit an unprecedented 18% inflation milestone, for example, with currencies in the Eurozone also impacted due to disruptions in the energy sector due to Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine. So I think it's pretty damn likely that Microsoft isn't going to raise prices of these consoles, especially after they put out this statement, because it would look extremely bad coming out and saying, hey, we're not going to do it, and then a couple months later being like, actually, guys, we lied about that. We actually are going to raise prices. Now, they could have probably put out a more flowery statement being like, hey, we know that inflation is really impacting everybody across the world, and here at Xbox, we just want to let you know that we will not pass the cost along to you, our consumers and fans, and that the prices of the consoles remain the same. However, you can't really predict the future. Who knows if silicon prices get absurd later on in the generation and Microsoft is forced to raise prices. But for now, Nintendo and Xbox are both doing right by their consumers and fans and keeping prices where they're at. They're not giving the middle finger to their fan base across the world that Sony's basically doing. So how will this affect PlayStation 5 sales or PlayStation 5 versus Xbox in the future? I don't really think it'll affect it too much. The people that want a PlayStation 5 will try to get it. Maybe some people are priced out now, or maybe they feel a certain way about how Sony views them as a second-class citizen versus people in the United States. But I think Sony will sell as many PlayStation 5s as they can produce this year. I guess it's certainly possible that some consumers might be swayed over to Xbox because of their consistent value messaging. They didn't raise prices. Game Pass is a threat. I mean, just ask Sony, right? So we'll have to see how this all plays out. But I definitely know there are some PlayStation fans that really hated this move, while others are still simping and licking the bottom of Jim Ryan's boots. Anyways, guys, that's the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, share this out on social media, and hit that notification bell. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.